Okay, hi everybody. My name is Joey, and today we're going to be reviewing Ema by Chilean director Pablo Larrain. I think that's correct. Starring Mariana Di Girolamo. I think I pronounced that correctly. I don't know. And Gael Garcia Bernal. Pablo Larrain directed films with Gael Garcia Bernal before, like Pablo Larrain also made Jackie, which came out a couple of years ago. It's in the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything, but there is a line in there that is, "I gave you a son and you threw him away." Now, when you see that in the context of the film, there is a lot there to unpack, but without giving anything away, as like I said, this is in the trailer, that can tell you that, you do have a sense of this being about family and interpersonal relationships, but there's definitely more to it than that. I think that goes a little bit away to explaining what the film is about, but it's got a lot more to it than just that. It's not a typical melodrama in any way. First of all, this film has some great performances, in particular from Mariana. Yeah. First of all, she just has this face, and you could be looking at it for hours and you feel like you're not really penetrating into what's going on inside her. Her character has a real stubborn child about her. She's very naive in a lot of the ways that she sees things, and often she can be found kind of running away from a lot of her problems, I think. And dance is one of the ways that she fixes that. With Gael Garcia Bernal, his character has this in a certain entitled cockiness. He definitely shows toxic behaviours, and there's a question of a repressed homosexuality in him, and that kind of goes a little bit into the opposite between the femininity explored and the masculinity explored. There's a scene where the intention is very much a kind of emasculation, and his failure as a man, so that bleeds into the main theme, which is definitely parenthood. There's a sense of with him, the shifting family unit is definitely a big thing. There's a phrase, "your parents mess you up," right? And I think that's one of the ideas that's definitely explored. It does ask the question, is anyone qualified to be a parent? You can often be judged in your ability or inability to put aside your own personal issues and give everything to your child. There's a line in there where they say, "Children make a family," and that kind of tells you an awful lot about it. That they have something external that's going to fix things for you, There's also a sense of the sins of the father being passed on, and it kind of asks the question as to whether that can be cyclical. An error being passed down and rippling on. There's a weird mix of parental and sexual love thing going on, which is a bit uncomfortable. And some of my favourite scenes in the movie are the dance scenes. Gael Garcia Bernal's character does say at one point that it's just sex and there's nothing else to it there. Sometimes you wonder if the dance is maybe used as a kind of avoidance technique. Brilliantly put by Gael Garcia Bernal's character when he says it's a falling asleep in defeat. I absolutely love that line. And the sexual stuff that goes on is in places a bit weird. Some of the sex is incredibly unsexy, and I think that's intentional. There's definitely an ideal of female sexuality being explored, and there's definitely a sense of the feminine togetherness of the dancers, and the dance sequences are definitely they're pretty breathtaking places. The use of colour in particular, and the use of red is quite strong, and obviously because there is definitely fire is used to demonstrate that in places, the passion. But the fire can also be symbolic in a sense. There is an idea of destruction and construction in there. Some of the images can be a little bit disconcerting at times, I guess, and that kind of brings me on to one of the main things with this film is it's a complete another ride, and you have to decide whether you want to get on board or not get on board, and that will make or break the film for you. This film is definitely not for everybody, that is absolutely for sure. I love the music and the sound design, and there is a real synthesis between the music and the sound design, I think. There's also a non-linear narrative, which is so seamless to me, and it never really feels expository. An important mark of a filmmaker is when your exposition doesn't feel like exposition. There is like an aggressiveness to the editing, and this goes along really well with the dancing. And it is kind of an aggressive movie. It's in places it's so punchy. There's something kind of dangerous. It feels risky. It feels, yeah, the hits hurt. And probably my favourite thing of the movie is that it's filled with arresting and haunting images. And in my opinion, that's exactly what cinema should do. It should give you images that leave an imprint on your minds, that make you think of them days afterwards. Most importantly, it made an impact on me. I'm still thinking about it. This is my first review. I'm making this review because I liked it so much. It's so completely drenched in desire and fantasy, in the chase. It definitely at times feels like the chase is the most important idea in this movie, which is exactly what cinema does, you know. As Zizek says, cinema teaches us how to desire. And I think that fits really well with this movie. So, I'm not in the habit of rating movies. I don't think I'm going to do that with this channel. So, go see this movie. I highly recommend it. And yeah, so hope to see you in the next one.